The first sound Elias Venn heard as consciousness returned was not the hum of alien machines or the distant echo of palace halls, but a child's broken sob, soft and frightened, clinging to his name as if it were the last thread holding her world together. And in that moment he knew with terrible certainty that surviving had cost him far more than dying ever would have. Elias had never been meant to stand in royal chambers or touch the blood of kings. He had been born on a forgotten human colony where wars came faster than rain, where medics learned early that saving lives did not save souls, and where his own weakness had marked him for scorn long before aliens ever saw him. He had frozen once under fire, hands shaking as soldiers screamed, and that single failure followed him everywhere, stripping him of rank, of purpose, of belonging, until he sold himself into alien labor just to avoid starving in human space. Among the Valari Empire, humans were tolerated only because they were useful, and Elias was barely that, assigned to sanitation. Mocked by soldiers, ignored by scholars, and warned daily never to look royalty in the eyes. He survived by shrinking himself smaller each day, believing the universe was finished with him, until fate dragged him screaming into its center. The alien princess, Lyrene, collapsed during a sacred convergence ritual meant to stabilize her unstable life force, her luminous skin fracturing with veins of violent light as Valari healers panicked. For her condition was not illness but a genetic curse carried by royal blood, a power too strong for her body to hold, and every failed attempt pushed her closer to death. When the last healer stepped back in fear, Elias was thrown forward as an insult to tradition. A human offered to delay the inevitable, and laughter followed him as he knelt beside the dying girl. Laughter that turned to silence when he ignored alien protocol and trusted human instinct instead. He recognized the signs of cascading failure. The way her energy spiked like uncontrolled adrenaline. And with shaking hands, he cut, drained, stabilized, and grounded her using crude tools and stubborn compassion. Reliving every battlefield he had ever failed on, refusing to freeze again. When Lyrene breathed, when the violent glow softened to a steady pulse, the palace trembled not with joy but with terror. Because Elias had done something forbidden, something impossible, something that threatened the Valari belief that humans were inferior. He was seized immediately, beaten for sacrilege, accused of poisoning the princess, and cast into a cell where light did not exist. Left to bleed and rot while the court argued whether his death should be swift or symbolic. Alone in darkness, Elias expected nothing else from the universe until chains fell away and the king himself stood before him, eyes ancient and unreadable, carrying both gratitude and fury in equal measure. The princess lived, but the curse did not vanish. It shifted, bound now to Elias's presence. Her life stabilized only when he was near, her pain spiking when he was harmed. An ancient phenomenon, recorded only in forbidden texts describing soul anchors and life bonds. Valari law demanded balance, and so the king delivered Elias his reward before the full court, declaring him bound to the royal line, neither slave nor citizen, forbidden to leave the empire, sworn to protect the princess with his life, and marked by ritual as her living anchor. Humans watching from the outer worlds called it enslavement. Valari nobles called it sacred. Elias felt only the crushing weight of a choice he had never been allowed to make. His days became a prison of silk and steel, guarded constantly, hunted in shadows by factions who feared human influence, despised by Valari purists, and shunned by humans who believed he had betrayed his kind. Each time assassins struck, blades meant for Lyrin tore into Elias instead. His body absorbing the curse's backlash, his pain stabilizing her power. And slowly, he understood the truth of the bond, that the curse fed on isolation and fear. That Lyrin had been dying, not because she was weak, but because she was alone. Between attacks and whispered death threats, the princess spoke to him in quiet moments, confessing her terror of becoming a weapon, of being loved only for her bloodline, of begging her father to let Elias go. And in her tears Elias recognized himself. Another life shaped by expectations and punishment rather than choice. When a rebellion within the empire finally moved openly, branding Elias a corruption that must be erased. He was lured into an ambush meant to kill him and let the princess collapse again. And as energy ripped through his body, bones breaking, organs failing, he realized this was the end he had always expected. Yet, instead of fear, he felt clarity. He accepted the bond fully, surrendering resistance, allowing the curse to flow through him rather than fight it, and in doing so, transformed it, dispersing its lethal surges into controlled power shared between two souls instead of one. Lyrin survived. The empire shook. Elias lived, barely, scarred beyond repair, but something had changed. The king knelt beside him publicly, acknowledging not ownership but debt. Understanding at last that humanity's strength was not dominance or technology but endurance. The ability to be broken and still choose compassion. The shocking reward was revealed not as bondage but as responsibility. A place where Elias belonged, not because he was useful, but because he mattered. As the galaxy learned that a single human had altered an ancient empire by refusing to let a stranger die, Elias Venn, the weak doctor no one wanted, became proof that hope survives in the most unlikely hands. And that sometimes the greatest power in the universe is simply staying human when the stars demand otherwise.